May the prayers of Holy Fathers of Jesus Christ, God have mercy on us and save us. Good evening for those new here. My name is Father Joseph Swaden. I've worked in Orthodox apologetics since 1998. I am the founder of NFTU, True Orthodox and Ecumenical News, since 2004. We've been in the apologetic space since 2016 and on YouTube since 2018. If you appreciate what we do here, like and subscribe. Today we do our live Q&A session where you can get your questions answered live. Vladika, benedicite.
Benedicite.
Where you can get your questions answered live, as well as member-requested video reviews. So let's get started. And as always, if you want to jump on stream to ask a question or make a comment, just click on the link at the top of the chat window. I'm going to put these up, but I'm going to just mention that we are going to, first off, God bless you. Well, the bishop's here, so you can bless.
God bless.
And thank you for that. This is a big deal. We've actually been trying for a few. Months to get to 2K. So I was very surprised it happened this weekend. If anyone else is asking for a blessing, Vladika's here to give the blessing, so we'll just leave that there. But today I'm going to try something different. Well, it's because the 2K is a marker. So that's the people are saying congratulations on the 2K. But I need to ask everyone a favor because that is the last comment that I'm going to read out of the comment box that is not a super chat. We're going to try something different with the chat today. I'll be taking super chats from the YouTube chat. And if you want to continue, ask your question or comment in chat without super chatting, write it in chat over at the afrosinoscafe.com chat site. I actually have that open and I am live just to show you real quick. I'm right here and I'm by myself and I want people to come on and check this thing out. So that's what I am doing today. So let's see here if I'll just, because if you want to make sure I'm here, there I am. So that's, this is, okay, that's a great comment. Seems nobody wants to follow. Okay, it's fine. All right. Well, the point is, I'm going to use this chat, so I'm going to prioritize questions and comments from the chat, and I will just scroll through them real fast. And yes, it's prayerful. It was crazy. We have someone in the chat, so if we're looking for, everyone wants to come in, just go to the Frosenos Cafe and have a, we'll have I want to open up chat there. The cafe, for those who don't know, is actually about, I think it's going on 24 years old. I'm actually I'm kind of helping administrate it right now. But basically, it is a message forum that's been used that has a lot of information. I see Subdeacon Nictarios is in the chat. Awesome. And I'm actually going to present also. I'll share the invite link for here. Hola. Okay, that's pretty cool. Let me see if I can make it bigger. I wonder. Let me see. Oh, but I can. Oh, this is cool.
So I'm just going to be on for about 25 minutes or so. So are there any discussion topics we want to talk about or something?
Yeah, well, I mean, the main thing is that basically we had a crazy day yesterday. I don't know if you've heard about that, but basically we had Subdeacon Nictarios on, and we were talking about a video that came out on Thursday, I believe, about Metropolitan Jonah, and it's blown up. Like, there's like the comment section is insane, actually. If you look at it, just share this while I'm doing that, and it's got like in one day it's got 76 comments. Like, that's unheard of. Like with what's the word I'm looking for, with a video of this type, especially since we're just doing a review. So it's kind of dumbfounded. Oh, Subdeacon Nictarios is here. Hello there.
Hello.
So greetings. Let me see here. And so we got a busy screen going on now. Okay, somebody asked for a blessing. Yeah, so we've got two chats going on now, so this is kind of crazy, and let's see if we can get more people in. It's going to be very interesting. But yeah, were you expecting this something you might have been expecting it a little bit, I think.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, controversy is just the comments are the most interesting part because now you got
Yeah, I think they were really. I think they thought that they had managed to suppress the discussion. Oh, there's Father Boniface. Let's bring him on. Oh, it's a party now. Okay, let me see here. So this is great. But if you again, since I'm seeing that people are joining in the chat, if you manage to if you go to the Frosenos Cafe and put the chat, I will put that on the screen. I will always put super chats up. I really appreciate them. Trying to see what else we can do to get more people checking it out. And if you have any questions that you asked in the cafe, we will put them up live, just like we do every week. Okay, let me see here if I can arrange this a little different. Okay, that's better. Let me see if yeah, this is good. Okay, so how are you doing, Father?
Greetings. Congratulations, 2000.
It's awesome. Well, we're gonna keep on going, and we're gonna keep on going through. We're gonna keep doing what we're doing. It's working. More people are coming. More people are interested in coming into the true faith. I see Father Antonios is in the chat, and his actual comment on YouTube was, "Are all the actual Orthodox ready for the Apostles' Fast?" As sad as it is, new calendarists do not have a fast this year because it's kind of backwards. But in any case, God willing, this is a good chance to educate them on the calendar question, etc. Hold on.
I want to make a comment.
Okay, go ahead.
Having watched the chat about Metropolitan Jonah, I had these in mind. I wanted to just make some color comments here, just to add on. Is the whole idea of utilizing that woman for his content, and it really speaks to a lot of being very effeminate. And the idea is that the move to feminize and effeminize the priesthood, I think, is where a lot of the Metropolitan is going. And the attacks against patriarchy, against hierarchy, and I dealt with that in my journey and my trials through the Presbyterian Calvinists, and they were utilizing so much information written by women, philosophical books they're referring to, written by women philosophers and things like that, and then the idea that in the book of Revelation, in the letters to the churches, Jezebel is considered to by some Orthodox commentators to be Gnosticism, and so you have these feministic influences that are found in Gnosticism, which are really in the Calvinistic Protestant Presbyterian churches. And I went through a divorce, and the church facilitated the divorce, and I was, dealing with these guys for 2 years, and it finally boiled down to, they took her side on everything, and then she ended up leaving the church and leaving everybody behind, making them look like fools. But the point is that in my final conference with a group of 7 other, quote, elders, I said, you guys are favoring her all the time, no matter what. You are effeminate. And so I was attacked in my manhood. And so often, as a father, I was looking for support, male support, to lead my family and to deal with discipline problems, or just to have a wife to be submissive. And they were supporting her in all of her rebellion. And I said, you guys are effeminate. And so what you have is an attack against manhood, against the priesthood, and they want you effeminate and to be subservient and say yes sir and yes ma'am, and that's why I see these guys are going, and they're going there anyway. But it just was, I just wanted to come from that perspective and to see that, of course, ecumenism is dangerous, but you can see one of the aspects that it is affecting is the hierarchy, the headship of the family. I just listened to Rachel Wilson the other day on another podcast, whose husband is with that Crucible, and which you were on, and she was advocating, the role of the woman, and I'm thank God that she brought up Phyllis Schlafly, who I had read and appreciated many years ago. She's a Roman Catholic, but she was promoting the cause of motherhood and the stay-at-home mother, and so she was also dealing with that from an Orthodox perspective, and so this comes along, and so here you have a metropolitan calling men to become wimps. I appreciate Orthodoxy. It's a hierarchical, patriarchal emphasis where men can work at being men. I'm working at being more of a man all the time, and you're looking for support, and I didn't find it, and I went through. I got beat up really good, and it levels you down to feeling like a piece of junk, and
that's
and so and so and you become like you lose your a lot of your solidness, your stability, and you just, and it's a demonic attack. I went through it, and God gave me enough grace to come out of it and then get back on my feet. But so that's what you're looking at, and that's where they're headed, and that's where we do not want to go. Thank you for that, that podcast the day before.
Not a problem. Okay, so we're getting some questions from the cafe. Somebody asked, it was Sava who asked, hello, I have a suggestion for Father Joseph. Would you be interested in doing a show of the 20th century Ukrainian church history or things like the UAOC? It would make for an interesting show, but it would require a lot of prep work. That is one of the more complicated histories in the world in the 20th century. But I'd be down for it. I'd be kind of interested in that.
Okay,
go ahead.
So, of course, Metron Jonah is not an Orthodox bishop. He's a heretic, and he was, raised, of course, in the. I think he came out of Anglicanism.
Yeah,
and went straight into the OCA. So the only thing he could be taught at St. Vladimir Seminary was modernism and ecumenism under the name of Orthodoxy. And now his references to, of course, the ROCOR MP at this point that's not been Orthodox for at least, 15, 16 years or so. The other point to bring up is when they talk about, I don't know if you covered this yesterday, Margaret Barker. One of Barker's, which all these heretics, claiming to be Orthodox love, one of her main theses. One of her main points is that the original worship of Israel and the true worship was this worship of Elohim, Yahweh, and Asherah. And that they worshiped the mother goddess in the temple. And that was actually good. All right? And that King Josiah came about and he stopped all the worship of the mother goddess, which was bad.
What is that sound?
Father Boniface, I think, is making tea.
I'm sorry. I'll mute it.
All right, no problem.
And that, I think he forgot to mute it.
I got it.
Okay.
Seriously? Hold on. I'll mute it for you, Father. Oh, please stop.
You mute it for me.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's fine.
So, and that King Josiah was like the wicked Josiah. Now, the Mormons also teach this stuff in the past few decades as well, by the way. And the Mormons love Margaret Barker. All right?
Yeah.
And and the view is sort of that there was like this older temple theology that was an alternate view among the Israelites, and it was suppressed by the evil people who made up the Old Testament, and that eventually when the church came about, the older Old Testament view, which was worshiping Asherah and Yahweh and Elohim as three separate entities, that was promoted, and that's sort of where like veneration of Theotokos came from, and such and what have you. So it's very Mormon. It's a very Mormon understanding, of the teaching.
Yeah,
It's
I from
obviously
what I understand,
blasphemy.
Margaret Barker is.
I've read her book. She wrote a book called The Great High Priest, another called The Angel,
Yeah.
The Great Angel, The Great Council, or something like that. Temple Theology. There's a number of other texts and such. And it's all, of course, based upon the fact of this view that the Old Testament is simply like Romanides had the same view. All right, that the Old Testament is simply a conglomeration of errors and post-exilic fabrications and such, what have you. So anybody who accepts that is either at best mentally ill. That's the absolute best you can say, and the more likely they're just heretics than they are. So any view that takes that woman seriously or try, and of course, as you pointed out, this is like officially posted on the Moscow Patriarchate website. All right, this woman who teaches these like absolutely blasphemous positions. This feminist Methodist woman preacher in Britain is sort of the guide for Metropolitan Jonah, Hilarion Alfeev, and this whole gaggle and assortment of World Orthodox hierarchs. That's the woman who. We're getting a lot of distortion somewhere.
Well, yeah, I don't know where that's coming from.
So.
Okay, I think it came from.
Okay. So anyway, that's my takeaway from it. The responses I saw I did listen to your video. You did, and the responses I saw would seem to be very unsophisticated. They could have dealt with the situation, but I think they had to be unsophisticated because what can you say? There's nothing you could say. They could probably point out maybe one or two cases or three cases of people. Like, I guess you could find people like in the 70s in Rokor teaching like theistic evolution, like HTM certainly did that, and what have you. But like all of this, like 20 heresies combined into one person, which is more or less like the OCA standard and the MP standard. That's really a major, obviously a major problem. So, and as you, Septic and Nectarius said, there's nothing is going to be done about this. They can complain they could have all signed their names to that document. They all could have signed their names to the document. I can guarantee you nothing would have happened.
No, yeah, you're correct, because outside of on my own and other clergy there, we did sign our names to letters.
Okay.
And the only thing I got is it did cause so much of a problem that Metropolitan Nicholas actually did come down. So this happened in 22, end of 22, beginning of 23. So the last time they had an official hierarchical visit from the first hierarch was when I was ordained a reader. That was in 2015. So from 15, that was Metropolitan Hilarion. So from 15 to 22, 23, no first hierarch had been there because they don't really want anything to do with him. And so I did prompt a visit from Metropolitan Nicholas, but all that happened was he was given 2 brand new shiny Engulpians, and that was the end of that.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me see here. We have another question.
Now I have a question for Subnik and Nectarius. Did you ever yourself personally approach Metropolitan Jonah and say, "Look, Vladika, what you're teaching is contrary to orthodoxy"?
Oh, there was a few of us that did. Yeah, there was.
You personally went to him and said these are problematic.
Yeah, okay. Definitely did. Yeah, I did, and I got
and without getting too much detail, what was the general reply when people would say this to him?
Oh, you didn't go to seminary. You're not. You don't. Yeah, that whole.
Oh, I see. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. In the chat, somebody has posted, I guess, like part of the video, and I guess he made a second thing that was like kind of, or is it? I mean, it may be the same video. Let me just see here.
His beatitude.
No, this is the same video. Okay. Let me get to the next question that I got here because they're starting to collect a little bit. And I'm gonna make this just YouTube because Facebook is just confusing.
Because if he says you didn't go to seminary, what would he say to Father John Bodecker, who was like the professor of Old Testament at Jordanville? I mean, what is the reply to that? I mean, because you can find just as many people if you want to who went to a seminary and would disagree with him. So
I have,
okay.
I guess I didn't go to the right school. It's kind of like one of those things.
Oh, okay. You didn't go to the school that was teaching the modernism. That was the problem.
I didn't go to SVS or St. Ticon's. I think at the time I had already had my master's degree. So, I mean,
see, in other words, they were expecting that if you go to a seminary that they approve of, you have to accept the position. If you don't, it means something's wrong with you.
Well, one of my beefs with him was he was actively telling people not to go to Jordanville.
And his rationale for that was what? I'm just wondering.
It was because they were run by zealots.
Okay. Well, he picked. It's very interesting that obviously that's. I guess after he got kicked out of the OC, he had to.
There's two retired OCA bishops. Did you know? I don't know if you guys are aware of that. There's two retired OCA bishops in Rocor.
Yes.
Yeah.
One is who knows who he is, right? Unless you really know, because he was accepted in there, and he runs his parish. He doesn't create waves. He's not doing, he's not trying to be celebrity and create his own diocese within the diocese and his own first hierarchy in the first hierarchy. So.
Now we did have a question about the Holy Order of Mans. I don't know how familiar anyone is with it because I know that a lot of them became Christ the Savior Brother School. Brotherhood. Excuse me, the Brotherhood. Yeah, and I'm not exactly sure what they were. To be quite honest, they seem to have been kind of like this mixed up mystical school, or
it was a sort of esoteric theosophist organization.
Okay. All right, yeah, it was pretty large.
And then they were taken in by Platina under the aegis of the infamous Pangratius in the 80s. Mm-hmm. And then a lot of them then moved in the, I think, early 90s into the OCA. Some of them may have joined the Rocor at the time, maybe. I don't know. I still get the impression that Metropolitan Jonah had been an Anglican prior to him joining the OCA or something like that.
He was Episcopalian,
yes,
Anglican. Yes. Yeah, he was received into the Soviet MP in '72.
Yes,
and then he was ordained in the then the Metropolia. I guess it was now OCA in '94.
So yeah, again, all of this is just simply standard modernism, ecumenism. This is what's taught at St. Vladimir's. This is the standard position you're going to find in all the mainstream organizations. What Metropolitan Jonah is teaching is heretical, obviously, but it's not. It's simply par for the course in mainstream so-called World Orthodoxy.
It's definitely mainstream, especially mainstream in the OCA. I mean,
you can certainly find people who may disagree with it in the OCA, but they're going to be a minority, and they're going to know not to talk up about anything. So obviously that's the reality of the situation. You're not going to change it. No one's going to get rid of Metropolitan Jonah or these other people. No one's going to get rid of Archbishop Alexander Golitsyn, who says Origen's a saint, even though Origen's been anathematized by the Fifth Ecumenical Council, by local councils before that, subsequent ecumenical councils.
Well, how you get around that is you say the ecumenical councils are not, they're infallible, right? So
yeah, you claim they're just made up a bunch of errors, and you can revise the canons and the doctrinal decrees of the councils.
Easy workaround.
Yeah, well, I mean, obviously that if you say that, then there is no basis of orthodoxy. Simply just collapses. It becomes sort of just like an accumulation of sort of these historic churches that have some vague attachment to Eastern Europe, and that's your religious understanding.
Well, we got another question, and this one is actually kind of relevant in the chat. Cafe. Can you guys comment on the declassified document Subdeacon Nicarios posted about the unpublished draft letter by St. Philaret? You might want to give a little background on that, Subdeacon, because basically a lot of people aren't aware of it.
Yeah, so St. Philaret was metropolitan from 65 to 85. So during this period, in the Holy Land, the Soviet MP and the Jerusalem Patriarchate, they came into communion with each other. I think in 42 or 45, somewhere in the 40s. That's when the Jerusalem Patriarchate kicked the Rokor and the ecclesiastical mission basically to the curb. And so the Soviet MP was essentially stole property from the Rokor, and St. Philaret being the first hierarch, he had to deal with it. So he was going through all these. Him and at the time Archpriest Grabe were going through like the legal process with his son over there in Jerusalem, and Metropolitan was just getting tired of it because it was costing so much money. Nobody was helping, and then the Israeli government started cooperating with the Soviet government and taking their property. So I was doing some research. I was trying to find. So I always knew there was letters that existed from St. Philaret to various governments trying to get this situation fixed. So I was looking in one database, and it was it's one database of basically telegrams from 60s, 70s, 50s, way back when, and I ran across a few telegrams from the then what was the embassy in Tel Aviv. And Anthony Grabe, Bishop Gregory Grabe's son, he went to the State Department there, the embassy, and because they were getting fed up with this property theft. So Metropolitan Father Anthony brought a letter written by St. Philaret. It was supposed to be addressed to the New York Times, and it was basically a whole detail of like what the Soviet Moscow Patriarchy did in cooperation with the Soviet government and the government of Israel. So in the letter, so the State Department, when they sent a telegram that actually contained the entire letter from St. Philaret, and they sent it back to Washington so people here could look at it. And they actually wrote the whole letter out, and it details how the Moscow Patriarchate stole $100 million worth of Rokor property, and that they were trying to like settle this. That basically the government of Israel is trying to undercut Rokor and sell it for like 3% of its actual value, and it was just a bunch of stuff. But it talks about the property theft and from the Moscow Patriarchate and how the Soviet government and the government of Israel helped. So it's like 2.5 pages, but it was classified from like 75 to just recently to 2014, and through the intercessions of St. Philaret, I just so happened to run across it. So that's what it's in. It's going to be in the next book. I'm almost done. I'm just waiting on 2 more translations, and the new St. Philaret book is now 700 pages. So versus the old one, which was 200 something.
There's a large fly in my room. Hold on. Thank you. Well, that's pretty useful. And I have. Okay,
all right, I gotta head out.
In my room. Hold on. Why am I hearing that? What on earth is happening? Why am I hearing that? I think it's your Benedicita. Okay. Well, this is going well. All right. Let me see here. What was the next thing? From the cafe. Does the fast begin on midnight of the day or on sundown of the previous calendar day? At what hour is one permitted to eat on fasting days? Let me see here. Hold on. Okay. hold on one second, please. That's a good question. I kind of wish Vladika Enoch had stayed for that one. Let me put up Father Boniface back because there was some noise coming. That's a good question. I kind of wish Vladika Enoch had stayed for that one. You wouldn't have headphones, would you, Father? That's a good question. I kind of wish Vladika Enoch had stayed for that one. Okay. We'll figure that one out. But yeah, does the fast begin on the midnight of the day, on sundown of the previous calendar day? At what hour is one permitted to eat on fasting days? That's a question from Benedetto de Norcia. The basic rule is that on a fast day, you should basically go with the you should go to at around the time of the Vespers. When it's summer, and during the other times of the year, it would be 3:00 is when on a fast day you can start eating and break the fast. You're still abstaining, obviously. But the point is, as for the sundown or the midnight, that is actually debated. The only thing you can't do is mix and match, because that would allow you to effectively evade abstinence. So if you're sticking with sundown, you stick with sundown. If you stick with midnight, you stick with midnight. So my basic rule is whichever one you choose, you stick with it. Otherwise, you're kind of playing games with it. Okay. Oh, boy. All right. How did that even happen? Okay. So I do not. That's interesting. I didn't even know that this worked. So we got Gregory of Colorado and what appears to be Theodore on the screen. And I'm not even sure how to get that off. Oh, wait. Okay. There we go. Most interesting. I assume that there is a question of, okay, I guess you guys are talking about the other fun stuff. So I hope that answers that question. Cafe, is it possible Metropolitan Jonah is a goblin? To be quite frank, I will not tolerate goblin posting. I served with a former whom was a priest in the OCA, externally very conservative traditionalist. Then the Monophysites would approach the chalice. He would promptly commune them and refuse to discuss it as they are close enough. From Father Antonio. Sava, Lord have mercy. What have I done? Roko Remnant asks, speaking of the Jerusalem Patriarchate, how do we know Rokor wasn't in communion with World Orthodoxy by extension of being in communion with Jerusalem? Subdeacon Victorious, you've done some research on that.
Yeah, so. They weren't in communion with Jerusalem officially. So that's one of those. That's one of those fallacies that they like to promulgate, so they can differentiate old Rokor from being the same as old calendars, but they weren't in communion. There was in the 1940s, the Sergius SMP, he was Alexei I. He came to Moscow, he came to Jerusalem, and the Jerusalem Patriarchate re-entered communion with the Moscow Patriarchate, quotes, and in order to do that, they had to cut Rokor off. So Jerusalem cut Rokor off, and the other reason we know that they weren't in communion with the World Orthodox is because all the other patriarchates recognized the Sergius Patriarchate as the canonical Moscow Patriarchate, which of course Rokor did not. Right. I wrote an article about this. I'll publish it here, and it's in the. I'll send it here, but I've already researched this and did a bunch of documentation on it, but yeah, and there's also a letter, but I will say that there was individuals, especially like with Anthony of Geneva, who was like the ecumenist of Rokor. He refused to abide by what the Synod was doing as far as that went, and he would celebrate with new calendars still, and he was just overall liberal, so he would violate that himself. But there is a letter from St. Philaret to Anthony of Geneva that's kind of like a chewing out for him doing that. So that does exist. So, but if you want to read all the details and about that subject, I got most of that information from a doctoral thesis out of the Moscow Patriarchate, one of their universities, one of their seminaries. So this is the Moscow Patriarchate's history on how Jerusalem kicked Roquefort to the side.
Okay, and now somebody else asked, it's Theodore, a serious question. When is Subdeacon's book on the patristic witness fleeing heresy coming out? I feel like this will be a great apologetic work. That's from Theodore.
That one?
Yeah, that one. That one indeed. Let's see if we can make you bigger. Hold on.
This one. There it is.
Yep.
So this is not the actual cover, but it does exist. So if you think I was, it's there. That's how thick it is. It's not a small book. It's got like 17 pages of bibliography and 200 something footnotes in it. It's very. But the bishops are reading it right now. I'm waiting for Bishop Oxentios and Metropolitan and another one to finish reading it. Since it's going to be kind of controversial, I want them to sign off on it.
Let me see if okay. I was kind of hoping that maybe your audio. Father, is there any way to shut off the external speaker? I was kind of hoping that maybe your audio. Father, is there any way to shut off the external speaker? I was kind of hoping that maybe your audio. Okay. Father, all right. I'm gonna mute because it's kind of crazy the sound. No, I did mute it. Don't worry. Okay. Yeah, he's got an open YouTube window, I think. We got some more questions. Again, add comments at the chat section of afrosinoscafe.com, or if you want to get this on YouTube here, just use the super chat. But either way, you can do that. Let me just put that back on the screen. And so we figured that one out. Somebody asked, we have new catechumens at our church. Aside from the Law of God, any other books you guys recommend? Well, for me personally, I recommend Indication of the Way into the Kingdom of Heaven by St. Innocent, and I recommend what's the name? The Way of the Ascetics by Tito Colliander. Those I think are good books. I think those are a good, solid 3 books for beginners. A Pocket Church History by Father Aidan Keller is way superior, in my opinion, to the much longer and confusing. What's the word I'm looking for? The Orthodox Church by Timothy Ware. Somebody asks. Hold on, give me 1 second. And let me see here. Somebody asked, who was the Law of God by? The one I personally recommend is by Father Seraphim Slobodskoy. That was the one that was used by the Roquefort before, joining with the Moscow Patriarchate. Hold on. Okay. And so let me see here. And somebody asked, let's get to and that was, that was asked already, but I'm putting it in. Okay, and let me see. Somebody did ask, Theodore asked, Father Joseph, was there ever going to be a third debate on the Crucible on true orthodoxy? Do you still keep in touch with Mr. Wilson? I do. I do occasionally reach out to him and say hello. I don't bother him about stuff. And I like his stuff, and I'm not into a lot of the debates they do, but sometimes they put up some great debates. So I consider myself a bit of a Crucible supporter. As for the third debate, the biggest problem is after the second debate, it became clear that they didn't have anybody who had the level of historical knowledge to actually debate on the other side. And it's not their fault. It's literally the fault of the fact that almost nobody outside of true orthodoxy understands the history of true orthodoxy. And because of that, unfortunately, it's hard to have a debate when you don't have an opponent. And so really, I think that what's going to end up happening is ultimately, the only person I can think of in World Orthodoxy who could even really say something categorically like with historical knowledge would probably be someone like Matthew Namey, and I don't think he would do it. Let me see here. Are there more questions? This one came from the cafe, but it's already up there. Do you have any cats? I don't remember seeing a cat when I was at your house. Well, they're not very friendly, but I do have a cat. So that is that I covered that one there. So let me see here. And just remember, today we're doing it a little bit odd, a little bit different. We've got the cafe window open here, the Afrosynos Cafe, and basically you can, if you want to do a free comment, as we've been doing, I highly recommend jumping on the cafe at afrosynoscafe.com and just going in the chat, and I'll answer there. Or I also highly recommend sending a super chat because we could really use your support. Thankfully, we broke the 2K mark. We're seeing much more growth very quickly. Hold on one moment. Somebody asked something interesting. Let me see. Is it possible they have found an opponent? Okay, Cafe, and this is from Roca Remnant, and he asks, Father, would you debate the French guy from Twitter on the Crucible? I think the bigger question is, would the French guy from Twitter debate me on the Crucible? I don't know that he would. But hey, reach out to him. I do. Okay, people are. I don't have to actually share now because now that I realize that it's pretty readable if you've got your screen in full. It says, I bet if you get in touch with Andrew again, he would find an opponent. It would have the potential to cause more growth. Well, as I mentioned, I keep in touch with Andrew, but there's no volunteers for that topic. It's just not there. That's why my last debate was with a vegan. I think if he wants to really debate this, he can go ahead. I don't think that it's gonna be. I don't think it's gonna go well for him, but because he tends to repeat his positions and kind of just remain stubborn without actually addressing things. So yeah, I don't think that. You feel free to ask him if you want to. I don't know if he's going to agree to it, but yeah, I mean, you can dangle that carrot in front. Ooh, Reader John, 1999. Thank you. Celebratory stream means a longer stream, right? That's a good question. Well, it depends on how long Subdeacon Ictarius or Father Boniface want to stay. But if, in case they get tired, that's okay. We have Justin. Justin is a machine, and he can stay up all night and answer all sorts of ridiculous questions. That said, I'm probably going to try to keep the stream at the latest to 11, so it will be longer than normal, but it won't be like I wasn't prepared to do a mega stream today. Wow.
Oh, you missed a question right there.
Oh, where? Do either of you guys still do you still contact either of the vegans you debated? Hold on, let me put back the cafe. Yes.
No, it's in the YouTube chat. I believe Bishop Graugrey said that while the Senate had not declared the calendars for graceless, that's what everyone believed.
Yeah. Okay, let me see here. Okay, yeah, this is what I was trying to avoid was putting on free comments. But yeah, I believe Bishop Graugrey said, well, the Senate had not declared new calendars are graceless. That's what everyone believed. Yeah. He actually at some points kind of indicates that because it's undecided. I know that in one of his letters in the 70s, one of his directives, he basically says the Synode's not taking a position, which upset people. Certainly by the time of the end of his life, he certainly believed that the new calendarists were graceless. But the idea that they recognize the new calendarists as anything but innovators is kind of risible. It's just not a real thing. Let me see here. And Sava asks, you still keep in contact either of the vegans you debated? I did keep in contact for a little bit with Nick, and that is part of the reason. If I keep doing like weird moves, it's because there's a very large and annoying fly. Yeah, if I would say that yeah, I mean, I try to keep in touch with one of them. I mean, the other one, Vegan Games, he's the big YouTuber guy, but he's also kind of, a lot of people were upset with me debating him. I didn't know who he was. And but I mean, I still pray for him. We gotta pray for these people. And then let me see here. Theodore asked question. There was a book that Father Seraphim referenced in Russian with all kinds of names, proving Metropolitan Sergius collaborated with the Soviets in order to hand over the faithful from the Catacomb Church to the Soviets. Has this book ever been found? I want to say yes, because I'm pretty sure that book does exist in Russian. I do not know the name of it, but I remember hearing about it. And then let me see here.
I wonder if it's. Oh, you want to see something interesting that I've bought?
Mhm.
Let's see here.
What'd you get?
I found this interesting book.
What's this?
It's a book. It's an original copy of Bishop Gregory Grabe's book. This was called. Let's see here. It's in Russian, so I'm gonna use my tech to figure it out.
Oh, you're using one of those little translator things that will actually translate the text via OCR and stuff?
Google Lens, pretty helpful. The truth about the Russian Church at home and abroad. So this is so back in the '60s, the Soviet MP had their one of their polemical people write.
I don't want people to feel like I'm like trying to get them for super chats. My goal is for the people who just wanted to do it free that they go on the cafe. I want to migrate people over there too. But let me answer the question. Let me find it. Give me a moment, Joshua, because I'm not even sure. Is it wrong that certain old calendarists will not declare new calendarists as graceless? I have seen Apostolic Canon 46 reference as proof that the new calendar should be declared graceless. The only church of the Greek Old Calendarists that did not declare the new calendar as graceless were the Synod and Resistance, and after they folded into the GOC Callinicos, they no longer held that position. So there are now no Greek Old Calendarists or Greek True Orthodox who hold to that position. The only people who do hold to that position at this point would be the Artemites. That's the Diocese of Raška and Prizren in Serbia that tried to do the fight from within with the Serbian church. They broke off and they made their own bishop single-handedly. But outside of that, I don't think that that's even valid anymore. So let me see here. But thank you for your question, and thank you very much for your donation. It really helps the channel. Okay. Now let me see here. Okay, and in the cafe we got yes, Vladika Gregory wrote specifically because it wouldn't celebrate and only communion under certain circumstances. A lot has changed since the early 60s. That is very true. Is there a chance the rest of the Optina elders will be uploaded to the document library? There is a chance. However, I won't be the one doing it because I don't have them. But if you know someone who does, tell them to bring it over to the cafe. We now allow 5-file uploading, up to 100 megs each file, so it should be fine to upload. Sava says, "Our Vladika Andrean Roak has a full set of Vladika Gregory's books at his house." Okay, so this is good.
This is a book I found right here. I think this might be what he's talking about.
Okay. Which one? Let me see if I can get a little closer.
So this is
okay.
The truth about the Russian Church abroad.
The truth about the Russian Church in Russia and abroad. Wow. Okay, who's that by the way?
Bishop Gregory Grabe. It's an.
Oh wow.
I found an original copy. This is the original 1961 copy. You see, it's all brown. So I found the original copy in Germany, and I snatched it up.
Okay. Oh, Reader John's here. Hold on. Okay, and
this has a chapter in it. It's called "The Non-Canonical Nature of the Moscow Patriarchy."
Cool. Hold on one moment. I know that Unseen Warfare, you're on the cafe, so if you could jump in the chat there and ask that question so I can put it up. But I'm trying to get everyone I can that can jump on the cafe to jump on the cafe. Let me see here. Does anyone know, this is from Theodore, does anyone know if the Bishop Gregory Grabe book on the Masons, Bolsheviks, and Gnomes is going to be translated into English? I am not. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. I mean, I haven't heard of anything, but it's a good question. Question for Father Joseph: did you ever meet Vladika Anthony Grabe? I don't believe I did. I believe he reposed before I went to Russia. Let me just double check that. But I mean, I did news stories about him because when he joined ROAC, that was around the time that I had came in. Well, let me see here. Anthony Grabe of New York. Okay, silence Doogie. Just checking real quick because I don't think I met him. If I did, I would have been more along the lines of the bishops all sitting in council, and I was kind of in the corner, like with a bunch of other lay people. He died in New York in 2005. It's most likely that I did not meet him. Yeah, he did die. I know, and I was there from 2004 to 2006, but I don't think that I don't think I met him. No. I met Father Vladimir Shishkov, but I didn't meet Bishop Anthony Grabe. Let me see here. Now we've got so many questions and answers. Yes, we hold on. He did repose in 2005. That's correct. Let me see here. Close this. Okay. And then somebody says, let me see here. Again, if you want to throw in comments, just go to efrosinoscafe.com. That's where this chat is. And just click on the chat right there. That's all you have to do. Completely free. And you'll be able to put in all the comments you want. However, on this one, I'm trying to only read the comments that are super chats. So this is why. But just so you know, it's not because I'm trying to be mean. I am experimenting. And it's more that I want people to be on the cafe than I want them to pay me. I can promise you that. Reader John, how are you doing today?
Father bless.
May God bless you.
Relatively well.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I just said I'm doing relatively well.
Oh, well, thank God.
Yeah.
Okay. And let me see if Father Boniface has managed to get the audio fixed.
Uh,
Okay. Hey, there you are. Well, okay, maybe not.
What is Father eating?
I don't think we had a chance to ask yet. Let me try again. He's muting himself, so I guess he's trying to fix it. So he'll probably be right back.
hold on. Can you hear me now?
Oh yeah, we can hear you great.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
Well, Reader John had a question. Of course, he's trying to again steal Matisha Stephanie's thunder. So go right ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry, Matisha.
I have had a change in diet. I'm having my sorghum and flax pancakes and some sausage and some eggplant cooked in olive oil made with the water from Polk County. It's just awesome.
So,
I'm taking
Father,
orders.
Father, I'm in solidarity with you. My dad made some sorghum cookies for me.
That stuff's not that bad.
I'm not really sure what sorghum is. I'm just gonna look it up real quick.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, okay, it's some plant.
Yeah, it's kind of like the consistency of molasses.
Oh, interesting. Okay, good to know. Looks healthy. I'll probably try to eat some this fast then if I can find it.
I get it on the internet.
They have a sorghum festival out here. Maybe I can hook you guys up.
Oh wow.
Well, I can't eat wheat, so I have to go in other directions. And you know what? The stuff's not that bad.
No, it's not.
Rocco Remnant comes in with a question on the chat. Question for Father Boniface: do you like hot sauce?
I can't have it. I'm scared to try it. I'm scared to try it. Usually I don't have hot sauce, but I can't have it. Maybe someday.
All right. Well, Sava asks, God willing, next time we visit Father Boniface, we'll try his world-famous cooking. Also notes that
All
Rita
right.
Johnson question. Let's see here. Blue Hills is in the chat. I'm hoping I can get Blue Hills over to the cafe. It's an interesting contraption. Mushroom ketchup. See, I see the questions, but I'm trying to follow this. You see here, it's experimenting. I'm trying to get more people to use the chat function on the cafe to communicate with each other. The cafe is a pretty interesting place. You can see here, it's got a, what's this? Oh, okay. I see your thing, Nikolai. Give me just a moment, and I will get you over there. If it lets me. Actually, this is where I should probably share Justin instead because it's going to ask for my password. So here we are, sharing Justin while we get to this. I'm just going to add. I haven't gotten anything. He looks pretty sad. We haven't used him yet, but in any case, I'm just authorizing Nikolai real quick in the system, and I have to go to the back end, so y'all don't have to see how the sausage is made. But yeah, I've just activated him, so he should be fine. So let's go back to the board index and the chat. Oh, Jason, I guess, is someone else who just came in. Administer. One moment, and I will activate that account too. Very nice. Thank you very much. And it looks like that's what we've got 4 so far. So I'm back in the chat. Sorry about that. And we will put back the tab instead of Justin. And so, right, let's see. Okay, so nothing's popped up since there. Oh, okay. Hold on. Let me see how it looks on mobile, Blue Hills. Give me 1 second because I do have this. I'm trying to make it mobile ready. So let me see how it's done. Okay. It should be that in the mobile version, you should be able to click right into chat on the left-hand side, and it will allow you to go in. It takes a couple of seconds for the full chat to load. I know the dog is scared of
Pop
what's
sound.
the word I'm looking for? Yeah, the popping sounds of the fireworks and all that stuff. It's okay. They're not shooting doogies. It's all right. Okay. The dog just got my cables. Okay. So anyway, thank you, Jason. Again, I'm looking to just okay. Sava asked in the chat, how would Justin feel if he didn't eat breakfast this morning? Well, I guess he'd kind of look like this. He just looks very, very upset. But
He didn't get sorted.
Well, the whole point is that I had Justin in the chat, one, because this was a big show. It's going to be a 2K live stream. 2, I was going to originally reference this. I was going to originally reference a what's the name of this guy? I just did a review on one of his ridiculous videos. Christian Wagner apparently responded to my response to his video and even put me in a thumbnail where he made me look kind of yellow, but then had a lot of nonsensical comments about my video editing skills and stuff. So I was going to just check him against Justin. And let me see here. Sava says the fireworks aren't owned by the ATF. Dog need have no fear. Well, they can't guarantee that. I'm sure some of them might be, and they're owned by the Chinese. He better be scared. Okay, Roker, that's true. Let me see here. Yeah, I think so. Blue Hills. I think that's what it is. If you don't have an account, please sign up, and I will be glad to sign you in. And I'm glad to hear it. Thank you, Jason, for your good wishes. Alex, I think Nikolai actually answered your question well there, so I don't kind of have to. Let me see here. Okay, new notification. Okay, and this was, okay, one moment. Okay, let's see here. And you can ask your question. And, all right, I have activated. I just showed exactly what I wasn't going to show before, but now that you know how the sausage is made, okay, we can get back to the chat.
Too much juggle, Father.
Too much stuff. There's too much stuff. Too much stuff is happening here. This is how we like to do things. Keep things busy. Let me see here. So okay, we're still up to the Chinese and the ATF owning the fireworks. But yeah, so this is we did secure. There was a bit of a scare for a few hours today that Elijah Yassi for Tuesday's debate / discussion, heated discussion, I'll put it that way, was not going to make it because he kind of wanted to focus on Vatican I, and that's not something I focus on. However, we finally agreed that basically if he can bring that up as background to establish the Roman Catholic position, then I'm fine with it, and we'll see what happens. So I'm looking forward to I'm guessing it's probably one of the first real Orthodox Catholic debates that I could honestly say is happening on our end. So we're looking forward to that, and that'll be on Tuesday at 9:00. So that's let me see here. Roka Remnant says, "Can you smell what Father Joseph is cooking?" I guess, but I do not. I don't cook much, but I get the reference. But anyway. All right, so let me see here. Let's see. Father Boniface, you still there? Subdeacon Ictarios?
Yes, I am here.
Yeah, you know what I was wondering. What do you think? What's up with the new? I mean, this is big news that we haven't talked about. The
Which one?
The new patriarch for Bulgaria.
Oh, I haven't even noticed. What? Give me the down low. Give me the skinny. What's his name?
I know what it looks like.
I know it made Constantinople mad.
What's that?
Oh, if it made Constantinople mad, that means he's probably one of the old FSB guys. Because there's kind of a clique in the Bulgarian Synod that was kind of separating from the rest of the Bulgarian Synod, which was supposed to be going with Constantinople, but instead they were going with Moscow. Mm-hmm. And the question was whether it would be a pro-Moscow or pro-Constantinople patriarch. Jason 575 asks, is he a ecumenist? I assume they're all ecumenists. But let me see here. Apparently, the new patriarch defeated NATO doxy on Twitter. LOL, says Roka Remnant. That's depressing. That doesn't make me feel better. If the Z guys are like, if the Z guys are like, oh, okay, Daniel Avidin. This was today.
Yeah, it was today.
Oh wow. Okay. The new patriarch praised Father Seraphim Rose. Right, but with
they all do that now because they ignore all of his writings.
Yeah, they rewrote some of this stuff.
I was about to say it's in vogue now that he's been revised.
Oh boy. I'm getting the deets now. Apparently someone wrote, thanks be to God, NATO doxy has been defeated in Bulgaria.
Do you have that big book of his letters?
Yes. He's a staunch supporter of the canonical church in Ukraine. Oh boy.
Do you have the big book of letters from unpublished letters from Father Seraphim Rose?
The unpublished letters from Fun. Yeah, we have. I think we have a link to it in the cafe. So
yeah, I wish they would read that.
Yeah, they never read those. They never read the original version of Orthodoxy and the Religion of the Future.
We could do a public service announcement. Don't read the new stuff.
Don't read the new stuff.
Yeah, the stuff that.
Jason asks, is there TO in Bulgaria? Yes, there are. Let me find their link. Hold on.
BulgarianOrthodoxChurch.org.
Yeah, I think it has. Does it still have dashes in it? Let me just go to my Gab and get it. And then, does anyone here on the Russian True Orthodox side of things know anything about the priest Nikolai Guryanov being a catacomb priest, or was he known to be with the MP? I've heard rumors he was a catacomb bishop, but I've had a hard time finding sources. Nikolai Guryanov. Apparently, he was a priest. Okay. By the way, Jason, the Bulgarian or True Orthodox also have a big YouTube channel, so you might want to check that out. But as to answer Nikolai, I can try to do a quick search, but I've never heard of it. So I'm going to try to see what I find right now. The priest who died in the Dagestan attack. I'm pretty sure he was MP because that was an MP church that they were attacking.
That's a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I don't know who's got the feedback, but well, it's not Father. Okay, it was Subdeacon Nectarius. All right, so we're moving. Yeah, the priest who died in the Dagestan attack, I'm fairly certain was on the MP. Todd, thank you for your prayers. And I think, okay, yep, yeah, okay. So yeah, Nikolai, I think that was an MP. I think it was an MP.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, it's still a shame, and it's still a horrible loss of life, and it's terrible that Muslim extremists take these measures, regardless of what our ecclesiology is. But yeah, so that's pretty sad. And so let me see here what else we've got going on. So, let's see if there are any new questions. Otherwise,
Did Relegate ever get resolved?
Relegate. Oh boy. That is a good question. I don't know. You see, here's the thing that's problematic with Relegate. There's multiple different news sources that have reported on it.
Yeah, that's
and
what
it's
I was asking.
unclear whether they lent the relics, gave the relics.
It.
But if the loan was supposedly the loan was to Pentecost, which would have been last week anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, but yeah, I think that the question of whether it was the right thing to do or
well, there's conflicting sources, like you said. So I'm just what's going on?
And no official sources are even responding, from what I understand. Even on the cafe, I know somebody was asking about that, and they wrote a letter to their bishop, but it didn't go anywhere. Sava writes in the chat, there might be a hurricane coming through the Gulf of Mexico. It appears to be heading towards Yucatan. Prayers for mercy would be appreciated, of course, for life, health, safety, and salvation for all those in the region, including Sava. I hope everything turns out okay, because I know those things can be crazy.
Father Boniface, in case it turns.
That's true. Father Boniface technically is also in the Gulf. Well, you're in our prayers, Father. Yeah. But you can pray for everyone there, because they'll need your prayers. So this is good. Let me see here.
I'm thinking to build some shutters for my windows. To build some.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I'll put them on hinges. In other words, I'm going to put the hinges in the wall there and make them actual shutters that work. I'd like to do it. It's just I'm working on so many other things, but that's what I'd like to do.
Are you using hardy board?
Pardon me?
Are you using hardy board, that kind of concrete stuff?
No, I'll just use regular wood, like maybe 1x4, and bevel it and make it look like an old style shutter,
All right, I got you. Yeah.
Like attach about 4 of them together, put a couple cross members, and make it like an old style shutter, and put it on some serious hinges.
Okay.
So, anyway.
I'm just switching up stuff. Got another few people that just jumped in on the cafe. The beauty of this is not just that it's a chat room, but also that it is a massive historical reference. There's not, some things are not pretty, but one thing that I made sure to do is to promise that I would not delete anything, and that's been my goal, is to make everything public and visible.
Because I saw something about GOCA that was very dated. So
yeah. And Archbishop Irenaeus is actually on the cafe. So
yeah.
Oh wow. Okay, I am not reading your comments, Rocco Remnant. They're cruel. Okay. Well, I guess Saba thinks they're okay then, because you'll catch the wave. Okay. Blue Hills, your account is registered to just jump on the chat. And anyway, let me see here. This is a member chat. So, Alexander Brown, I just got your email. I'll send you detailed responses when I can. If you can try to reach out to Father Deacon Euronymous, I gave him your email as well. Okay. Member chats I will allow, because we don't have many members. We only have a few of them. But yes, if you put your chat in the cafe, it's free. And here we go. Is the UOC USA heretical? I did not go into the liturgy today since I have found your channel. I would say most likely, if you're referring to South Boundbrook, They are part of the they're part of the
They're kind of
EDP, the humanists.
they're kind of double trouble though, because they were created by a single-handed, no-handed actually.
Well,
they're
that's debatable. Because I know about the dead hand consecrations, but most of the descendant synods actually don't derive from those. In that case, let me see here. But I would say there are true Orthodox churches you can go to, most likely in your area. And so Sava says, yes, it is. And so I would suggest looking for those, not just, one thing that I don't want people to do, because we're not like Sedevacantism or anything. We have thousands of parishes around the world. So wherever you are, there's most likely a true Orthodox church near you. What I would endeavor for you to do is, if you can get to my Gab, I think I'm actually going to put that list of true Orthodox churches here on the cafe as well, to make it easier. But there are true Orthodox all over the world in the millions. You just need to find the local parish for you. Don't just sit at home. I mean, you can do Typica at home, but you should try to find the church if it's around you.
Are they looking for something specifically Ukrainian, or is there like a language issue? Or
I don't know.
Yeah.
I guess that's a question. Alexander, if you want to be more specific about your situation, there's also a few people in the chat who can also help.
Yeah,
but is it a language issue? I mean, you're USA and you're clearly writing in English. So, is it an ethnic issue? Like, is it just the closest thing to you? That sort of thing. And we'll see what we can do to help. All right, so we are now well into the second hour, 11 minutes in, and as always, this is the live Q&A, so feel free to jump on if you want, just by using the link at the top of the YouTube chat, and then if you want to come on, we'll let you in. And if you have questions, if you have comments, we know a lot of people were kind of shocked and blown away this weekend by stuff happening. I
was actually surprised Gentle Breeze came on.
What?
Gentle Breeze, he was commenting last night.
Well, I think he's just, I'm honestly, to be honest, I feel like he has like PTSD from this experience, because like he put that video thinking that people were actually gonna be like okay with it and be like, wow, this is terrible. And instead, immediately he got like a wall of get away, use cosmetics, so on and so forth. And so like he became like really, really scared and in denial. So when he showed up terrified, I felt bad.
I think everybody was cordial to him now.
Yeah.
I'm still mind boggled about how they're trying to spin this now.
Yeah.
How can you spin this?
Look. I don't know, Ray, John. Have you looked through the comments at all, or?
Oh, there's new comments. Oh wow.
Yeah, goodness.
Father Joseph need to keep up. He's slacking.
It's tough, man. I think that's a good question. Takis Benedict asks, do you think Gentle Breeze will make more content now that he knows he does good work promoting true Orthodoxy?
I think they must be borrowing from somebody's campaign, because it sounds like they're trying to argue it's a deep fake or something.
Well, I'll tell you. I'll tell you. Well, he did say to me, peacefully, he has no intention of taking it down. So, let me see here. Savavel asks, Father Joseph, what are your thoughts on consumable liquids of the shades of the purple variety? Well, I love all grape sodas. And so that's all I'm going to say. I know what you mean, but I'm just going to say I love all grape sodas. Metropolitan Jonah is a heretic, but not really, guys. The OCs can't brag about this. Well, apparently they were wrong on that one. Rogan is Gentle Breeze is the Orthodox apologist of the week. Nikolai Bauman says, poor guy jumped in the deep end. Rokor MP online people are not ready to accept they're just part of the world Orthodox problem. They're out for blood with anyone who tries to call them on it. I hate to say it, but that's true. Wow, what a crazy show. I just went. There's a couple of new comments. I see Adrian Wyatt
Hey,
commented.
Subdeacon, let me ask you a question.
Yes.
Is Francis of Assisi a saint in Orthodoxy?
Well, if you go to Orthodoxy, I'll do a plug since a certain Rocor bishop told me to post this. If you go to orthodoxethos.com/blog and you type my name in, there's a long article called Francis the Pseudo Saint. There's some Rocor bishop had me post that when I was still with them in reaction.
I know. That's why.
Well, let me see here. Okay, so Sava says we're drinking grape juice right now at Fyodor's house. I like grape juice. You'll notice that the chat, that side window has turned yellow. That means there is a new post. Unseen Warfare has posted here. St. Irene, he's talking about saints that the new calendar stole. Let's go back. And Alexander says, yes, as a Ukrainian church, it's inside a Greek parish, 9:30, 12:30 in Greek liturgy. Okay, on churches on Kings Highway, Brooklyn, New York. I was baptized in Ukraine, in Ukrainian Orthodox Church. Not sure which patriarch it was under. I came back to the faith about a half year ago, and I've noticed the issue of ecumenism. I believe there is a true Orthodox Church in Bay Parkway. I think there is. Believe it or not, that's actually that's not far from where I grew up. The Greek church that's on Kings Highway in Brooklyn, if I remember correctly, was 3 hierarchs. And back then, when I was a teenager and I was looking at what Orthodoxy was, I believe the priest was Father Eugene Papist. That was actually one of my most disappointing moments. I have a great story about that, which I'm not going to say because it involves a little vulgarity. But the story ended with my time as a uniate, and I ended up seeing Father Eugene Papist on TV with Mother Angelica, and I was like, okay, they're all working together. But in any case, Subdeacon Victorious has put in a link to the article that he was referring to. Here's something I think people should take some time to read.
Something different. This has to do with the MP, which I thought is great.
Okay.
But
he's officially a donut. Sava Belichick says, gentle breeze has been glazed, sprinkled even with donatism. Yes, 3 hierarchs church. Yeah, I know. I remember it. I remember. I grew up in Brooklyn, so that's why I remember. But there is a Roac church on Bay Parkway. Is it on Bay Parkway? Let me just double check that. It's right. I believe if he's still with, I think it's maybe Father Sir Jace or John of. Give me just a moment. Let me see here if he's still there. I'm not. Yeah, Father Sir Jace or John of. He's actually on East 22nd Street. Give me a moment. Alexander, if you're watching this screen, I'm going to share this tab. This is the Roac USA directory. This is not far from 3 hierarchs. I would tell you that this is, I think the church is closer to Coney Island, but Father Sergei is literally like 10 blocks away from this, the 3 hierarchs church. So that's Roac in America. So there's about 10 to 12 true Orthodox churches in the New York area. It just so happens you're right near one also. So hopefully you can reach out to him and that will work out.
Glory to God.
Glory to God. Good news, Nikolai. My wife and I just left Rocor MP 2 weeks ago. We're going to get corrective baptism under the GOCK in a few months. Pray for us. The shift into true Orthodoxy has been difficult, but NFTU and Subdeacon Victorious have been helpful. Thank you both. God bless you and your family. And hopefully everything works out well. Rocor Remnant says, great news, Brother Nikolai. Glory to God. Glad to hear MB from Subdeacon Victorious. I mean, we were talking about this yesterday, Subdeacon, and I was just saying there's a kind of there is a snowball effect that occurs when this kind of thing happens. Whenever these things have a multiplier effect.
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, at some point it's just either gonna stay in denial or you gotta face reality.
Okay, somebody paid to say this. Jews in Israel aren't real Jews, line of Jacob. Okay, thank you for your donation. Much appreciated. Let me see here. Father Simeon said, I wish you were in the chat, Father Simeon. Gentle Breeze has a great voice for documentaries. Because we're in the Frosenos Cafe chat.
You know what I've been thinking about recently, Father Joseph?
Huh?
You know have you heard that saying, you study history, you cease to be a Protestant.
Yeah.
I think we should revise and say if you continue to study history, you stop being world Orthodox.
Yeah, no, I think it's true. If you have a good, I think if people have a good understanding of the history of the 20th century and the history of previous centuries, which is why we're really looking forward to Subdeacon Icario's book. And so, Alexander, thank you so much, Father. I took a screenshot. God bless you. Glad I could help you. Let's put.
I think some people don't believe it actually existed. So
it is a real book.
It really exists. It's.
What's the title? What's the title?
Fight or Flight: The Patristic Stance of the Orthodox Church concerning those teaching heresy.
So this is an entire book devoted to the thing they say doesn't happen, which is people breaking off, not fighting from within, and working on restarting the church.
I like to show this because it's so significant.
Mm-hmm.
Where'd it go? There it is. So this, for everybody that's watching, this section right here, this is just liturgical text alone in the Divine Liturgy, the Manaean, Pentecostarian, the Latin Triodian, like the Octoicos, every single reference to heretic, heresies, heretical. That's how much exists in the church. So, and it's weird. I can't find a single liturgical text that says stay with the contemporary elders that are telling you to commemorate Saint Communion.
You haven't found the words patristic methodology, have you?
There's no patristic method. There's a term is not in this.
It's not there.
It's not there.
That was a jab. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there's no stay in communion. Actually, I love this. Anybody Irish? I don't know.
Well, before you get to that, I will say Ichthus wrote, "Are you going to debate a Black Israelite?" Father Swaden Dyer did.
Oh, please don't. Please don't.
This is an open forum. Literally anyone can click on that link. Roman Catholic, Hindu, Roka Remnant asked if I would debate a Hindu. They just have to click on that fancy link there that's in the YouTube chat. Atomic Lead says Irish enough here. Sava's Irish and a leprechaun. Okay. And so the point is there's some Irish here. Subdeacon, what was your
the commemoration of the Holy Hierarch Patrick, enlightener of the Irish land. So at Matins 8, I love this. It says, "Render vain the errors of other religions and the arrogance of heresy, and establish the faithful in truth, O sovereign lady, mystically teaching them to hymn God in an orthodox manner."
Yeah.
Oh,
wow. Watch out for the minor states, especially I think the Holy Hierarch Aidan and Linda's one was very fiery too. Text.
Actually, what's interesting is the liturgical text for St. Augustine at Hippo is like three pages long, and it's all about heresy.
Yep.
So, yeah, there's our liturgical texts do not.
Atomic Lead says Irish enough here. I was expecting a joke rather than edification.
No.
Let's keep going through these. Byzantine file. Theodore says, I went to the Roquefort and Peace Center building in NYC. They still have a portrait of Metropolitan Battalion, the other first hierarchs upstairs, as well as a big collection of White Army. They've added Matrona of Moscow icons, though. Sava said something in Irish, or Gaelic, I guess it is. Kjofadrla. That's a guess. I have no idea how it's pronounced.
God bless
Brooke Remnant says, yes, Matrona, the Paisius of the MP. Byzantine Theodore says, White Army and Imperial Russian relics. Tillin42 says, is anyone familiar with Felix Corley's articles on KGB involvement in the MP? For this article, wondering if he's a reliable translation. If he's a reliable historian. I don't know. I can check it out. Let me see here. This looks more like a. I have.
Hey, you know who I can't wait to hear about? St. Joseph of Petrograd.
Yeah, I can't wait till that life comes out and is published.
Oh,
Oh, we got another one. We got another one from Preach Yahuwah. Another super chat. Thank you very much. Speak the truth about real Jews. Preach Torah. Thank you for your donation. And anyway, that's kind of crazy. Let me see.
Just
Gaelic
Torah or
auto
Talmud?
correct. What?
I can send
Just Torah or Talmud?
Torah.
Sorry, poking the bear. Sorry.
I should send Brother Nathaniel a text message about that.
Oh goodness.
The Brother Nathaniel text message.
Yeah, I should send him a text and get him on here about talking about that subject.
Oh yeah, that'll be great. But he doesn't like us anymore. Once he plays this and choke fade or law. I would never have guessed that. Choke fade or law. Okay, or law. She fa or okay. All right. Not doing that. But in any case, all right. It's good to see that more people are using it. I see Atomic League's back. This is good. And I am answering comments and questions in the chat. And I will be looking at the rest of the cafe as well because, as I mentioned, it is a huge reference. So let me see if I can give you an example of how huge this reference is. Let me switch this. We're going to go to a different section of the cafe if you go to the main section. And this is the video section, which is not what I wanted. I wanted to show you the document library, where we've got a whole bunch of books, including the medallion, so on and so forth. There's now a few dozen texts that they're never going to leave. They're not going to be lost. This is where we're putting them, and that's kind of how we're going with it. So hopefully that will be edifying and helpful to people as well. Let's get back to the chat. Okay, Unseen Warfare says, but he is a Jew who is one inwardly, and circumcision is that of the heart and the spirit, not the letter. Whose praise is not from men but God, Romans 2:29. The apostle testifies without any hesitation that those who walk according to the teaching of Christ and the spirit of the letter are the Israel of God. Father Joseph tries Gaelic, quits using it 10 seconds later. Average non-Celt reaction to Gaelic. I did not even pretend that I'm part Gaelic. I'm not even going to pretend I'm part Celtic. I'm not going to lie to people. Many of my children aren't. But I'm not sure if Matrona even existed. It's sad people in Roquefort be justify veneration of the MP. Very true, Theodore. Very true. And let me see here. So this is interesting. We've got this going. Let me see here. I'm wondering if, and now I want to try this. While I've got everyone here, speak garlic. I'm going to try this. I want to see if the zigzag. This is a feature within the kind of system. If I was to go into it and change that, because now that we have a few people in the chat, I want to see how it looks. So I'm going to try that. Let me see here.
Getting a lot of feedback.
Yeah, I think that you might have it might be your laptop speaker, Subdeacon. That's what it was last time. I think
it's usually
for some reason my laptop's fan just keeps jumping on. It's like hot in here.
All right, everyone, reset the chat and let me know what you think while you're in it. Let me see here. I don't know if it worked.
Sometimes you can put it in headphones and then turn on the mics. Well.
Yeah, I've switched it over to user right, others left, but I don't know how that looks for other people. Okay, new activation. Going back to here, go to port index. See, now I'm going to do magical things with my other window. So, okay.
Yeah, that's why I use my mobile device instead of the laptop. kills the battery though.
Okay, very good. And let me see what we've got going here. All right. Am I in? Are you guys writing a whole bunch more, or did I just miss it? Okay, vampires hate it. What's the extent of the subversion of Father Seraphim's works? It would sound bitter. Vampires hate it, I guess. I consider my business with Sergius to be completely liquidated and don't want to disturb a pile of this manure for the second time. St. Joseph of Petrograd. Theodore 813, question: what is your opinion on Harry Potter and allowing children to read the books, watch the movies? If there is a problem, what is the difference between Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings? The only real problem I have with Harry Potter, and I realize that is that when it's describing things like witchcraft, it's not the fantasy aspect of it, it's the accessibility aspect of it. Like, there are real live people who talk about doing witchcraft, and so it kind of puts the religion on a pedestal. So that would be one of the major differences. The other one was, certain. I personally believe that was really part of the beginning of the infantilization of society. Those books came out when I was in high school, and the way people reacted to them was, I hate to say it, but it was like Theater Kid Nation had suddenly taken over the country. And I don't like describing it that way, but it's the only way it can be fair. Nikolai asks, is there any info about this? We've been having a hard time finding sources about this. Nikolai, the great thing about the cafe is just go right up there and search Matrona, and you will find more information written by our members. Ichthus says the English. Tillum says numerous other articles by Felix Corley on KGB clergy here. That's good. I haven't reviewed him deeply, but I will definitely do so. Hopefully I have a better opinion later on in in the week or so. I personally see Matrona as being the MP's equivalent of Saint Senya. Yeah, but Saint Senya was real. Like, she was a real person. We can't even determine if Matrona was a real person.
Yeah, there's conflicting. I think what they're not getting is there's conflicting information about Matrona in Moscow.
Yeah. But just search up Matrona on the cafe and you're going to find a bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
The Moscow Patriarchy actually did a long, I don't know if you have seen it, they did a long historical documentary on that. It's in Russian, so it's CC'd in English, but apparently they have some historical record of her.
Yeah, well, apparently, Theodore says they say she was in the catacomb church, but somehow met Stalin and was flattering him. Roke Werman says this looks weird on my phone. Yeah, I am working on it.
Yeah, well, there's an icon where she's like blessing him or something, right? I've seen that. I actually have it on my phone.
I've heard that some people added the Stalin, but I have no idea. Attack is Benedict 143. What are your thoughts on Orthodox movies like The Island? Some of them are good. I like The Island. As a matter of fact, I thought it was a really nice movie, but the big problem is that many people thought the character was real. And that wasn't delineated enough that he was a fictional character. And so the point is, I hope it inspired more people to read about, ancient holy elders and stuff like that. Roke Remnant says, beautiful movie. I highly recommend the stuff that the Russian film industry did on the Romanov dynasty, because it is quite amazing. And I'm not the early stuff, like basically like the miniseries about Sophia Paleologos. That one's called Sophia. There's Godunov for Boris Godunov, and there's another one too. But they're like series of miniseries that end up being like really nice long movies.
If you could put them up on the put some citations on there, that'd be good.
I think
you mean of the movies?
Well, but you put a link,
that'd be
something like that.
Hold on. Let me
edifying movies.
Here's this photo, this icon. I don't know if you've seen it.
Huh? Where? Let me see. Okay, yeah, I've seen this one before.
Stalin and Matrona. She's like, I don't know what she's doing really.
Okay. Let me see here. And then let me see. In Truth Fest in Lawton, you might want to join up on the cafe if you haven't already. I am adding people so you can join in the free chat. Give me a moment as I continue to do that. Yeah, that's a good idea, actually. Maybe I will do that. Well, that's different.
I think the actor from The Island just died in the past couple of years.
Which one?
The one who played the lead role.
Oh, yeah.
The Island, yeah.
Yeah, he was originally a rock singer, and then he
Yeah.
became a convert and joined the MP.
Yep.
Let me see here. Lord of the Rings was written by an RC medievalist, while Harry Potter was written by a feminist, atheist, modernist. To her credit, though, at least she is a TERF. When you see best description of Harry Potter ever, Theodore of Texas spitting facts. Have you guys seen The Priest? No, I have not. J.K. Rowling is an Anglican. But that's the same thing as an atheist by now. There is a beautiful documentary about St. John of Kronstadt. I guess I'm not a big fan of documentaries. I thought Man of God, Sava says the film about St. Victorious was pretty good, but the people who made it are turbo ecumenists. I'm not sure. I'm really
Man
not
of
sure.
God.
Yeah, because not only does the bad guys are basically the proto-ecumenists. Like when the nuns are being evicted, they're being evicted on order of Meletius Metaxakis. So it's just crazy. Like they went for accuracy.
Yeah.
The people who made it go to my old parents. Yeah.
There's some weird parts at the beginning as far as Saint Nectarius interacting with some of the locals.
Yep.
There's some weirdness there. That's kind of just like ecumenical overtures, but other than that, it was really good.
Let me see. Grandmothers were right. Letting children read Harry Potter turned them into cross-dressing communist Satanists. Unfortunately, people made it go to my own parish. Question from Theodore for Father Joseph. Do you think the recent document from the papacy is preparation for Nicaea 2025? Yeah, probably. I still don't think anything big is going to happen, but yeah, they're definitely doing stuff for it. So even if nothing big happens, they can at least say something happened.
I believe the kids call it grooming.
Yeah.
Oh, the World Council of Churches has huge plans for 2025.
Oh
yeah, but we'll see. We'll see.
There's a whole website. They dedicated a whole website to it.
Well, I think that as far as they're going to go, if they even go that far, is declare a common day for Easter.
Now, if they did that, that would be like a shot in the arm for us. That would be like the best thing ever.
I know.
They're like anything they do for us would be the best thing ever, which is why I temper my expectations.
But well, if they do anything, they're planning that what somebody in Nectaris is referring to. And that's going to be a shot in the arm.
Yeah, Tacky's
Well, I don't know.
The Nectarius movie. I guess. What? Go ahead.
Well, I posted the WCC article right there, so they have a whole thing already. It's already planned. They already have the whole thing planned out. So they have the ecumenical service already planned out.
It's a roadmap.
If you listen to Methodius in Boston when he has I don't know if you saw that in one of the articles I posted. There's a video of him saying,
"Yep,"
with the cardinal, like,
"Yep." My brother.
Yeah, my brother. This is your church, and my church is your church, and you're our spiritual father.
Make sure you bring a vomit bag if you watch it.
Yeah, it's but basically, yeah. But they're gonna 2025. It's even if they don't make an official communion.
I don't think they're gonna do it overtly for a while. I think they're just gonna. It's gonna be kind of like de facto.
Even if Bartholomew unilaterally changes the date of Pascha to meet, to sink in with the Papists and the rest of them, I mean, are the resists within her still gonna defend that? 100%.
I will say this, Roka Remnant, because I do want to get to some of these new comments. Says, I wasn't a fan of the movie of St. Nectarius. I feel like it doesn't show a lot of his St. Nectarius life, but rather a sliver of it. Oh, absolutely. And I think the movie was designed that way. It
like
opens up. Yeah, it would be a huge movie. Like, it opens up and everyone already knows he's a miracle worker.
Yeah.
So, it's like, in that sense, I hate to say it, but that's very common, even in the superhero genre, that people are just assume you know these things about him.
Well,
So I thought they used a modern technique to its advantage.
Yeah, you know why he's saying that though, because everybody from this generation's used to seeing origin stories.
Yeah.
So yeah, so
that's true too. Well, they keep remaking origin stories.
yeah,
But
to where
in any
it's
case,
not really an origin story anymore. Yeah.
Ictus says they made an entire TV series for Arsenios as Nepidus the Bart Kisser. Oh, sorry to hear this. Subdeacon Ictarius put up the 2025 stuff. I'm telling you, just mark my words. I have a very strong feeling a whole lot of nothing is going to happen, and that way they can tell it. Like people will start saying, "See, they didn't unite with Rome anyway." I just have a feeling. You might be right. I'm not going to put money on it. I don't know the future.
Well, I mean, they don't really need to make it an official.
No,
Yeah,
they don't really need to
it's
do
de
it.
facto at this point already.
Yes, exactly.
He's the Pope's been in the diptychs for the ecumenical patriarchy since 1965, right?
Welcome back, Benedetto. I see you're in the chat. Let me see here. This let me see. Yandex is great too.
If not authentic course.
By the way, Yandex is good. It is. I will say this because I've noticed that the search engines have gotten worse, and I feel better like saying this live than I do writing it. But even Dogpile, which used to just have the indexed Google search results, is now producing AI produced results and trying to index them, and it's a disaster. The only real search engine I've seen that still indexes Google's results is something called Gibberoo, which I will put in the. I don't know if you've tried it yet, but it's not terrible, but I would give that a try. Sava says, "I'll admit, even though this is an experiment, I like this format." Well, I also like this format. The longer the better.
You might need a higher assistant.
I don't know. I think my unprofessional style is working, and I'm getting better at this. Like I got the whole intro while looking at the camera this time. That only took me 6 weeks.
Doing better than me, Father. Doing better than me.
Ictus, are you Aventinios? Gabagool man, that's me, Blue Hills, Gabagool man, Ictus. Aha, the Gabagool has arrived. Okay, I don't like having the same name everywhere. Call me paranoid. Okay, well, you're Ictus here then, or Blue Hills, or fair enough. Tony Soprano has joined Antonio Sopranos. You can just stay tuned. Gabagool waiting for you. The AI answers from search results are terrible. They're absolutely terrible. Try Gibberoo. It actually does work decently, but we're going to have to start searching for new search engines because so many of them, Google, Bing, Yahoo, Brave, they're all relying on AI, and it can produce nice answers when you're asking questions, but when you're actually trying to find information that's specific, it just does terrible. Nikolai Bauman says, my way out of left field conspiracy theory for Nicaea 2025 is that there might be a merging of the seats of Rome and Constantinople by both Frank and Bart, electing the same man to succeed them both.
No, I think they're going to go for that. I think they're going to go for that. Was that the lung approach? The two lungs.
Oh yeah, two lungs. Yeah, that would be kind of out there, but it would be interesting. It says a Bible bed road trip is in the works. All right, so this one.
Yes.
Go ahead.
I'm taking off.
Oh, okay. Subdeacon Victorios, thank you for being here, and thanks for this weekend. We've seen a lot. You have a great night. God bless you.
I'll keep you updated on the book, St. Joseph book.
Okay. Ezekiel recommends Brave Browser. Likewise, thank you. Sava says Ezekiel recommends Brave Browser. I do too. I use it. There is one problem I have with Brave Browser, though. One, it uses primarily Google or Brave search, both of which are AI searches, which is fun for asking questions, but terrible for finding results. And more importantly, it has a very limited list of search engines that you can use. It has like 7 or 8, and some of them are just liberal causes with terrible search engines. So you have to find other ones. Start page pulls from multiple search engines. That's how Dogpile used to be. But the problem is that the engines that they're pulling from are now, because they're just running AI search, they're producing very, very diluted results that are not good. Let me see here. Savi's Opera personally. Well, a lot of our favorite YouTubers do as well, and they advertise it. And if I'm ever one of those YouTubers, I'm never going to be one of those YouTubers. I don't think so. I would never be like, "Hi, my name's Father Joseph. Do you need a browser? How are you watching this?" I just can't do it.
Well, he just really good. Maybe you should.
Opera is it just says Opera is Chinese spyware. So you see, if you choose Opera, you're helping global communism. So clearly, that is not what we're going to do here. Okay, so let's take a look and see here. Do we have any new questions or comments? I am going to check in the cafe and see if there's any new activity I should be noticing. Not too much going on here, so this is good.
Side thought, but I'm kind of worried about upgrading my next phone because it looks like all of them are putting AI in their phones. So,
oh wow, really?
Yeah, like Apple's doing AI, Android's doing AI. So I mean,
you can always. The key is, can you replace the operating system on your phone, etc. This is a OnePlus 6T. The model was created in. Yeah, the model was created in like 2018. It's already at end of life, but you switch it to Lineage OS, continues to work, and I just changed the battery on it, so it's going to last me another 5 years. So my goal is to get to 2030 with the exact same phone. And so
well, if they keep supplying batteries, you'll be all right.
Yep. And Ictus says, use sleepy tabs if you're a tab addict like me. I should probably use something for my tabs because I got a lot of tabs. But let's see here. So we are now at the 45-minute mark of the second hour. So when we've got another 15 minutes or so, I haven't seen. I think we've answered a lot of the questions. I don't see any new stuff going on. I hope people are checking out the rest of the Frozen House Cafe. There's something new here. Let's find out. No, that's actually Marvel Red. Okay. So going through sharing here and go through the rest of the cafe because it's kind of fun to do. Let me see here. This is we have the recent activity, recent topics, recent announcements, and then the forum has all sorts of interesting things on the side. But again, my personal favorite is our document library, and we have that wonderful chat. I'm hoping to actually upgrade the chat, so I'm hoping that we're going to see, some new things with it. I think it's going to be kind of awesome. Let me just see here. I'm just going to quickly switch
there's a lot of links in the chat now. There's a lot of homework out there, guys.
There is, but the way I've actually designed it to be mobile friendly, so most of that stuff won't appear on a phone browser, just on a window.
I got you.
Share this tab instead, and so we're back to here.
Even if you switch to desktop mode on the mobile browser.
Yeah. Father Simeon asks, which AI, Father J? There's a lot of different AIs out there now. I mean, and all of them, most large language models can be used as a search engine. So, frankly, unfortunately, they're becoming ubiquitous.
They're like doppelganger now.
Crazy. Ictus asks, what OS do you recommend? Pop OS, Endeavor. I presume he's referring to desktop or computer Linux. I personally use Zorin on my desktop, and I use Kali on my laptop. And then Ezekiel 2 says, I used Brave AIs to ask about the 1983 enactment. It gave an okay answer. It did both sides answer. Of course it did. And so, it's the problem is that these AIs are being programmed from different directions. And unfortunately, the real threat isn't the AI, as they keep trying to say. It's the
programmers.
It's the programmers who are downright misanthropic and evil.
Yeah. I mean, if you watch, was it the most recent Open AI demo?
I did watch
that. That was cringy.
They're like, look, we can fool you into thinking you're a person.
Look, we can flirt. Look, we can flirt with a computer. That's kind of gross, guys.
Yeah, exactly. It was perverse.
Yeah.
And then let me see here. Ezekiel 2 says I use Fedora on my laptop. What happened to Ezekiel 1? There can be only one. I don't know. I don't know what happened. I am a fairly new moderator here, even though this is a roughly 25-year-old website. It's been redone, and I've literally been in charge for less than a year. So, yeah. So let me see here. So yeah, that's what I recommend on the phone. Probably your most common option is going to be Legacy OS, not Lineage OS. Excuse me. It's not. Well, no, it's not called Lineage OS anymore. It's called. No, it is called Lineage.
No, it is still Lineage. It used to be.
Right, it used to be
CyanogenMod.
CyanogenMod, yeah. So yeah, it's Lineage OS. I happen to like Ubuntu Touch. I happen to like. Let me see here.
I like Linux.
Oh wow, this is better and better. We just got another super chat, and it says, "Just check forum. Looks outdated. Talk about Jews." Thank you for your donation.
I used to be a Jew. There you go. See, we talked about Jews.
Yeah, we talked about Jews. Look, your money well spent. Look at that. Sava says classic Greek humor. I wonder if where's Father Boniface? Is he there?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We were just wondering. You were so quiet. We were like, "What's going on?"
He's muting because he was munching.
No,
I'm not munching. I'm not munching anymore.
Okay.
Okay, your laptop needs a hat. No shade in your house.
There's another privacy-based version of Android.
Oh, hold on. Here's a Bishop Enoch. God
bless.
Welcome back.
Hello.
There's another version of Android that's privacy-based too.
Yeah, there's Calyx Sauce. There's Calyx Sauce. There's a few different ones.
Yeah, there's some really good ones now. You just gotta hope and pray when you burn your own.
Takis Benedict asks, his super chats might get the video flagged, but flagged for what? We're not actually talking about them. We're just
we did.
Yeah, we said Reader John used to be Jewish. Yeah.
There we go.
Senator Norcia says, welcome return of Vladika. My personal, by the way, Father Simeon, I'm trying to answer everything in the cafe if you want to jump there, but just to answer you real quick, my personal favorite AI is the Gab AI as well as the one that I have in my house. Well, I should say in my computer. And I use GPT for all, and you can change different models, but I haven't been doing that.
Do you still use that library of what is it, like Hugs something?
Which one?
The library of them, of large language models. It's like Hugs or something. It looks like
hugging face. Yeah, that's what GPT for all. You can get all the different models.
Yeah.
Father Antonio points out Graphene OS. That's a good one.
Yeah, that's
you
good.
can actually get, if you talk. I mean, I don't really pay for AI. If I use an online AI, I go to the Chat GPT one, the 3.5.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is last updated on January 2022, and it still says crazy things, and
just don't upgrade it for it.
Have you tried using Gab's AI at all, or no?
I have to pay for it. I can get you're allowed to use 3 questions and that's it, or something. It's something like that.
Well, no, you should be able to sign in because you have a pro account.
No, it doesn't work that way.
You have to pay additionally.
You have to pay additionally, apparently.
Oh wow!
Wow. Okay, so we've got a bunch of. Okay, I'm not. A Jew walks into a bar. Ouch. Okay, guys. St. John.
Well, if you want us to talk about the J question, you're going to have to make it a much more worth your while than $2.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're going to if you send $100, that might be worth getting a flag.
There's actually a question for you, Vladika, in the chat at the cafe.
Can you read it out?
And the question for Bishop Enoch: what evidence do you have that Archbishop Lazarus Sharabenko was a Cyprianite? And a follow-up question.
None. I don't think he was.
Okay. So you don't think Archbishop Lazar was a Cyprianite? Okay. And also,
no, I don't think so. I think I have read stuff that he liked watching, some of the Russian video. The Cyprianites put some of their videos against ecumenism into Russian, and I think he did say they were very good. But those were just generic videos against ecumenism and such. If by Cyprianite they mean, what do they mean? Do they mean did he read Cyprianus' position paper? It's I agree with everything in it. I don't think so. But
And also, Theodore asks, does anyone know why did Archbishop Lazar leave the Free Russian Church? Well, he was kind of in charge of the Free Russian Church until the schism in 2001, and then he separated because he had. What happened is this:
he did hold positions, for example, in his interview from '96 that he thought the Moscow Patriarchate had valid sacraments, but that it was an illegitimate body and you shouldn't go there. Now, I don't. Now, if you think that's Cyprianism, then he would be a Cyprianite. The problem, of course, is there were other people in the Free Russian Church who thought similar things. Not everybody. So, I mean, is that if that's Cyprianism, was Archbishop Leonti's position Cyprianism, for example, from 70? Because remember, Archbishop Leonti was the one who told him to go to Archbishop Garmogen to get ordained. So you're going to have to define what you mean by Cyprianism. Because Cyprianism, technically, in this context, means the position that the World Orthodox this view that the World Orthodox Church, the World Orthodoxy, is the Church, and that they do have grace, and the only way they can lose grace is by an ecumenical council declaring that they aren't part of the Church. That's essentially as close of a definition I can get.
Okay.
So I don't think he held a view like that. I don't think so. But
all right, so we have another super chat, and it says N3GROS are the real. That would be a closing parenthesis. Use unban Jorge and preach truth. You got it. Anyway, let me just go into the chat and. All right, so that we answered those questions. Okay, I'm not reading Jewish jokes for less than $5. Oh no. Matter of fact, now it's 10. You want me to do that? You gotta pay. The gutter level anti-Jewish remarks are among the least attractive elements of true Orthodox culture. Yeah, increasingly all Orthodox culture actually. It's not necessary.
What is defined as gutter level though?
Basically being like, I mean, I hate to say it, but just sounding.
Well, the guy who's making these comments isn't true Orthodox.
What happened to Reader John?
He dropped off.
Dropped off. Let me see here. Not compatible with St. Paul's attitude, in my opinion.
St. Paul said the Jews are the enemies of all mankind. He did say that, though.
Well, but the point is that I think that's talking about I get that you're giving the reasoning.
I can tell you what, and now if you're talking about those Jews who believe in Christ, well, then they're not counted under because they're not considered Jews technically
right
anymore.
And I get that.
So
the problem is that the way people phrase it in the modern world, and I realize that the modern world is twisted and evil in this, is that they treat first off they treat
Jews aren't a race even.
Can you hear me now?
I mean, when this is like
yes,
saying
we can hear you now, Reader.
Like Ichthus says, it's a cultural thing, not a race thing, and synagogues. Well, there is no such thing as the Jew. It's like talking about the Hispanic race, Father Joseph. I can guarantee you know as well as I do. There are like 7 different types of Hispanics.
Yeah,
and it'd be like saying that a guy from Argentina whose family was 100% Spanish immigrant from like 300 years ago, or they're identical. I mean, maybe culturally in many ways, but they're not the same as a Mexican guy.
No, they're not. But
whose
the point
grandmother is half Indian or something.
But people do that though, and so I mean, I hate to say that I've been called Mexican many times, and there's not my
Jew
brother.
At this point, Jew is simply made up. A Jew is somebody whose parents were part of rabbinic Judaism, and then they either stayed or they became atheists. That's essentially the 2 categories.
Well, let me see. I think you're confused. St. John Chrysostom could clear that up. Being anti-heretic is an anti-Semitic. Okay, well, I assume you're talking to Tillam 42. Let me see. Theodore says, it seemed like Bishop Enoch was saying that in the NFTU comments under the interview of Archbishop Lazar. I don't think, because you said Cyprianite, Theodore. I think what the real question was is how Archbishop Lazar's view on the grace in the MP.
You're going to have to explain. You're going to have to give the definition. You can pull up the comments, and you're going to have to also give a definition of what Cyprianite means, because you cannot give a definition of Cyprianite that's like 4 or 5 different positions, and it's everything from Metropolitan Philaret's letter in 75 to Archbishop Andreas to Cyprianos himself to Archbishop Lazar to you know, whoever, because it seems like it's this vague catch-all phrase that's being thrown around without necessarily understanding what position they're talking about.
Nikolai Bauman asked for Bishop Enoch. I've heard you speak about the little and greater pallium in Western use in some of your older videos. Did the little pallium have another name? I'm trying to do a paper on old Roman investments, and I can't find anything about a little pallium from modern Latin sources. Thank you.
Just for grammatical reasons, you should capitalize bishop actually before mentioning some cleric's name. But there was no. I don't know if I ever talked about a little or greater pallium in the Western Rite. So you're gonna have to pull up what you're talking about because I'm not sure what you're referring to. There was something called the rationale. That was a vestment worn by a lot of ancient Western bishops and even German, very late post-schism German bishops. That's what I thought. The rationale. Oh, never mind. So the pallium or the amophor, as we understand it, was traditionally like I don't think even in the East, I don't think really the almophor became a standard vestment of bishops. Maybe into the 5th, 6th centuries as it came about. In the West, it was generally a vestment that was granted that only metropolitans wore, or the emperor had to grant it. For example, there's this mistake that it was originally granted only by the power of the Bishop of Rome, or like the jurisdiction of the Bishop of Rome to, let's say, like the Metropolitans of Arles. But remember, the bishop, like Saint Gregory the Great, in some of his letters, I think he was being asked by one of the Frankish queens to grant the pallium to the Bishop of Autun, Syagrius, I believe. And St. Gregory says, well, I can't grant it unless the emperor grants it. I mean, you're going to have to be a little bit more specific because I don't, have the information. What else do we have?
Okay, we have, I think Theodore was asking if Archbishop Gloucester was in communion with the HSIR. Yes, he was.
Yes, because he was part of Roquor. So,
right.
I mean, I don't, now, after Vitali reasserted his authority, and I believe Archbishop Lazar did like join with him. There's some controversy about that. I don't want to get too much involved in that. But I believe after 2003, I don't think the case was that he wasn't in communion with them and such. And then after Archbishop Lazar passed away, I think they had a council, the Ortok, in 2008, which said that they condemned Cyprianism or something like that. And then in 2009, there was another document, and then in 2014 or 15, there was like a final decision that they don't accept it. And
yeah, I think Theodore is clarifying here. He says Cyprianite, i.e., that Bishop Lazar believes that the mysteries of the MP affirmatively have grace. I've heard this also from some others, so I was just curious if there's any info.
Well, yes, if that's your definition of Cyprianite, then it does seem in the 1990s in the interview he did believe that. Yes, okay. But then again, if that's Cyprianite, then you'd have to include a lot of other people in the 70s and 80s in Roquor as a Cyprianite. I mean, not everybody, maybe it was a minority, but even before, okay. I consider Cyprianism to actually be a very specific theory, because otherwise you'd have to say, this is what the Matthewites want you to say, that Chrysostomus of Florina was a Cyprianite. You'd have to say St. Augustine was a Cyprianite. You'd have to say St. Optatus of Miletus was. I mean, though they had what seemed like analogous views, they had radically different methods and actually views. Like for example, that video that talked about Metropolitan Jonas saying, "Oh, the Roman Catholics have apostolic succession, or such."
Well, right? You would kind of have to attach it to the person, then.
Yeah. Well, the problem, of course, is that if they say, "Well, Saint Augustine said the Donatists and certain heretics, even if they were deposed, had valid sacraments," Saint Augustine's view is that they're going to hell. All right, that if they have valid sacraments, they're going to hell. Because they're not part of the church. It's simply they're using something that's not their property. But I can tell you, none of those. So in other words, St. Augustine's major premise was the same as St. Cyprian of Carthage. Yeah. Right.
Which they're not trying to downplay.
They're not. No, they're basically trying to extract something that St. Augustine. St. Augustine actually inherited that position from St. Optatus of Miletus, who I think actually probably that view developed in North Africa in reaction to the Donatists. I don't think they had much thought about applying it in like some very broad way, because remember, even as late as the 9th century, it was widely believed, like say in the Frankish Church, that if you got deposed and you tried to do ordinations, and then you came back to the church and from a schism, they would just reordain you. They'd say you weren't ordained. All right, which contradicts sort of the scholastic Augustinian, Augustinian or Optatian view, which was simply a very minor view that wasn't always held normally in the West. Like Saint Theodore of Canterbury, for example, and the English bishops, whenever like the Welsh bishops would come out of schism and join with them, they would simply reordain them. Like Saint Theodore's view, and then his successors up until like the 740s. Even though you had like Saint Aldhelm of Sherborne didn't view the Welsh as in schism technically. A lot of them just simply, would even rebaptize people who came from like the Welsh Church, even though the Welsh Church did things identical to them. All right. So, anyway, my point is, I often hear this, and I'm like, well, they always want to talk about like Saint Augustine said this, and then like, well, what about the rest of what he said? Because obviously you cannot promote Saint Augustine's or really Saint Optatus of Milevis and mediated through Saint Augustine's view of holy orders, and then be in ecumenism, because you'd be very upset at the people who were then elite from his view, illegitimately using holy orders and then damning people to hell for it.
There is another question for Bishop Enoch, and he did capitalize. Are your efforts in the Western Rite entirely based on historical sources, or do you fill the gaps with Reconstructionism based on Greek Russian liturgies? Not being critical, just asking.
Entirely based on historical sources.
All right. Tillon42 says stereotypes about money grubbing for shekels are absent from Chrysostom. Will not push the point further tonight.
I mean, you'll find it in later other writers, but.
Yeah, I think he's making the point.
You have to remember at the time that St. Chrysostom wrote that text against the Jews, that up until about 250 AD, the vast majority of Jews actually were peasant farmers.
Yeah,
they were not people like, and I don't think that the transition. I mean, there were always like the Jewish moneylenders, and that's even in the Old Testament. Even in the Old Testament, the prophets condemn, Jews, doing money lending. And
what it
like
comes
that.
down to,
it
really had to do with the Hebrew.
That was, for most of history, they were not that.
No,
the only thing in which the only reason that sort of got a noticeable position, like there is this quote from Cicero about Syrians being moneylenders in Rome and some people tried to interpret that to be Jews. Like Jews were included within the rank of generic Syrian people because they all spoke like a Western Semitic language. But Greeks and Syrians could be just as much as money grubbers and defrauding Latins as Jews.
Well, they had no problem with usury. So.
Yes, yeah. I mean, remember, technically the ancient Latin law abhorred usury. And then so did ancient Greek laws, and the Old Testament did as well. But what happens is always this tendency to try to bend the law and to break it.
Well, and you got to remember the St. John Chrysostom that in the memory of the church at the time, they still had the fresh memory of the Jews being the persecutors of the early church.
Well, they were even in the 390s. This still happened.
Yes.
And remember, but I think what a lot of modern people don't really understand is that Jewish communities in an area could just simply disintegrate and collapse from the onslaught of simply missionary activity.
Yep.
They would just simply cease to be, and not as like persons. They would still continue as persons, obviously.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until Talmudism became solidified, I think, that they could get a hold of this. Like I think there was a Oxford or the Cambridge History of Judaism has this one section talks about like the complete collapse of quote unquote Jewry in the West in the early medieval period. It's simply there was sort of like vague proto-Talmudism in France. It didn't really exist. The only opposition was sort of just being a negative to the Orthodox. And then they're having to go up against Orthodox clergy who know the Bible and the fathers and can make arguments. And you don't have any defense against that. You're not going to last very long. I mean, in terms of like your religious, you're just going to disintegrate, and you're going to all either leave or you're going to accept baptism, and that's the end of the Jewish community as like it'll just be absorbed into the Gallican or the Frankish or the Italian communities or what have
All
you.
right, before we go any further on this, because there's a few more of these comments, and I'm going to just try to get to all of them because that's what I'm trying to do. Keep my promise about that. Ichthus says temple salesmen and moneylenders, the guys whose tables Jesus flipped and whipped. Tillum42 says I'll keep my word about refraining from engagement on that topic. Have at it, bro. Unseen Warfare says Jewish bolshevism, Freemasonry, assassins of Tsar Nicholas II. It's propaganda to view every aspect of conversation on the topic as a slight against a whole race of people.
I have a good idea, Father.
Yeah.
How about if they want to talk about Jews, and this is the 2K stream, if you want to drop 2K as a super chat,
drop 2K in the super chat. If you drop 2K in the super chat, I'll name and claim them. All right. Ichthus says, on the matter of the Western Rite, did any of the Celtic people in the British Isles do liturgy in a Celtic language, or was it all Anglic?
I have read in books that supposedly there was use of some vernacular, but there's not among the Celts. There hasn't been I don't think there's any substantive evidence of that. Everything was literally was generally in Latin. There is some material evidence that seems to be that in the 10th century there were some bilingual Old English and Latin service books, but it's not entirely certain that you're not dealing with texts where the service book is in Latin, and then for the help of the English priest to understand things for his study, they did a translation in the margins.
Now, was Canterbury the earliest C?
Well, it must also be remembered that before the Anglo-Saxons invaded and took over like large portions of Britain, that people spoke Latin in those countries.
Yeah,
that they were that even though they spoke Celt, even though they spoke like a Brittonic or language, also they also spoke Latin. It was sort of like how in Spain you had a Celtic population, or you had the Basques or whatever, and people spoke Latin as well. So like if the English had not invaded and conquered the area, Britain would have simply become sort of like France or Spain linguistically and such. Like I don't think even in Britain, even as late as like 750 or maybe even 800, Latin was still being spoken in Celtic areas in a form, and then it just gradually dissipated over time and such like that. So,
all right, we've got another super chat from Preach Yahuwah. He says, "Line of Esau equal." White Europeans, line of Jacob, parenthesis use.
As long as he wants to keep on giving money, that's fine.
Actually, line of Esau is the Edomites, right?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Esau were the most closely related people to the Israelites. They were the brothers of. That was in fact why in the book of the prophets, the Esau and Edomites were censured so much. Is because essentially your brothers, like your relatives. Or taking pleasure, let's say your brother is really treats his family bad and he's not great and he treats you bad, but then do you really want to get on the yard and cheer and say this is wonderful as the police drag him out of the house and his kids get beat up? I mean, maybe you can say he also brought some of this upon himself, but you don't take pleasure in your own brother's demise.
Correct.
Yeah. People are trying to negotiate over which type of dollar to use. 2,000. It can't be 2,000 rupees, not Zimbabwe dollars. I'm not even taking Argentine pesos there. No. Dollars.
American.
Yep.
Greenback.
Exactly. Got to be the greenbacks. Nikolai Bauman says, "Sorry, Bishop Enoch, I'm dyslexic. It's okay." Let me see here.
If you go to the GAMB group, the True Western Orthodoxy group, and you ask, I could probably over the next few days try to in your comments of the post you make, I could pull up information gradually. So I might have something, So.
Oh, do you take 2,000 Bitcoin, right, Father?
I will take 2,000 Bitcoin. I won't take 2,000 Satoshis, but I'll take 2,000 Bitcoin. That'll be 1,000 Canadian or 10 American dollars. Sorry, Canada, that was rude. That was wrong. It's closer to 100 Canadian. Okay, I'll just stop. I'll just stop. All right. Anyway, so it's courtesy of the movie Canadian Bacon. All right. Well, I believe, Reader John, since you brought this up, we have in fact gone over the normal time period of a stream.
All right.
As we're now going on to the 15th minute of the third hour. So
Well, enough of these $2 donations could add up very quickly.
Yeah, they're already at up to 10.
Yeah. If you do 210 times, it'll be 2,000.
Yeah, I mean, preach Yahuwah. If you have any other ideas or want us to read anything else, I will gladly do it for $1.99.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds really bad.
Now, my question here is: do $2 donations actually? Do you actually get any of that money after the YouTube takes it?
Yeah, YouTube takes 30%, but they give the rest. So, and yes, in a $2 donation, you'd get back like $1.40. So yeah, it's still good something. But in any case, let me take a look here. I am concerned about the login issues on the cafe. I sent a message, Father, if you're still there. That's odd, and I'm going to talk to the back end tech guy about this. But
to comment on just real quick on the Bishop Lazar issue, remember there were also people who were very critical toward like Metropolitan Valentine for like posting pictures and celebrating his like 30th anniversary of being ordained a priest or something, and he was ordained a priest back in like 1972 in the MP.
Yeah.
And so obviously if he was celebrating when he was ordained a priest in the 70s in the MP, was he just celebrating a fake ordination, did he think, or did he really believe he was made a priest? And just like Mitchell and Theodore recently had, or at least 2 years ago had, some similar photos. And I know people were upset about that in like in St. Petersburg or something like that. So, I mean, there probably does seem to be this view that some of the Free Russian Church people who came out of the MP had this position that they thought the MP was like, had valid sacraments, but that you should break with it when you have the chance, and that after the collapse of the Soviet Union, or with the collapse of the Soviet Union, it was not under any government pressure anymore, and therefore, this is what I think seems to be the implication. I don't mean to put words in their mouth. Their implication was that, well, if the Soviet Union is collapsing and the KGB is no longer forcing them to do stuff, then they have no more excuse. And if they won't condemn Sergianism, then we have no choice but to leave, because we were now free to do it. That almost seems to be the implication of it.
It seems as though like there's this case of 20/20 hindsight. Like when you're really close to it, it's hard to tell.
Yeah.
Like for example, like Chrysostom of Florian.
Okay.
I mean, they could attack his position, but I think as he got further away from when the old calendars and the new calendars parted ways.
Yeah.
That,
because by 1950, after 15 years of enduring hardship and attacks from the calendar,
it becomes pretty obvious.
He simply, why does he care at this point? All right. So, I mean, so people can change their positions, or at least say, look, I made some mistakes, or have you. So it's sort of similar to if you read like the first session of the Seventh Ecumenical Council. Obviously, there were people there who were heavily trying. Remember, the Studite monks basically demanded that all the former iconoclast bishops either they had to be reordained, or they simply not be accepted as clergy in any sense whatsoever. And Saint Tarasius didn't really want to do that because, frankly, Saint Tarasius, I think, was probably ordained by some people who were former iconoclasts back in 785, which would create some issues, obviously. And even after the council was over, there were people who, like a lot of the Studite monks, and I'm not attacking them, I'm just saying this is, from their perspective, the Studite monks had never communed with the iconoclasts. All right, they'd suffered immense persecution since the 730s, and now they're being told basically by people coming from Rome and these former iconoclasts who are now sitting in council. I mean, of course, there were other Greek bishops who had never, like the Church of Cyprus, had never fallen under iconoclasm. And that's because Cyprus was under the mega dukes, who was sort of like the commander of the Byzantine navy. All right.
Yeah.
And Cyprus was essentially autonomous from a governmental perspective. So even if the iconoclast emperor wanted to force the Church of Cyprus into heresy and schism, does he really want to cause a civil war to do that? And he didn't. All right.
Yeah.
So even after that, there were people who were critical of Saint Tarasius. But anyway, they had all that discussion the first session about, well, what do you do with these people? And they brought up the case of Saint Meletius of Antioch, who was ordained by the Arians, and the conclusion was that, well, if they even if they were ordained by the Arians or the iconoclasts, but then they rejected it and they ascended the Ambo or Ambon, and they proclaimed the Orthodox faith, then they should be accepted. Now, of course, there's a presupposition going into that, which is that there's this form of succession. It's not just some guy claiming he's a bishop.
I was about to say there's a big presupposition.
Obviously, it's sort of like the presupposition the councils talk about, like receiving, the Second Ecumenical Council's canon says that Arians can be, except for the Eunomians, but Arians and Novatians can be received by confession of faith and chrismation, and that presumes they're doing the form of baptism correct. For example, all right.
Proper
so
form.
There's various presuppositions given to that. That's why the Eunomians weren't accepted, because they, both did single immersion, and they didn't even do a Trinitarian form. All right. So they were so radical out there that the church couldn't even recognize anything that was being done. So we could talk about. I think we've all day about that. But any more questions, Father, or?
I'm not seeing any here. Let me check here. No, I think that's about it. So I think let's just close this up here.
No
$2,000. I'm gonna say good night, all. Well, yeah, I'm not negotiating any further today. Oh, may God bless you. Let me copy this. Let me put that in there. Put that in there. Double post it. That's okay. This was fun. Maybe we should do this again next week. I don't know. I think this kind of format's interesting.
If we get to 3K quicker.
What?
If we could get to 3K even quicker now.
Maybe if people are interested, and I definitely want to see a lot more people. Slava says good night. And so just real quick, I'm just going to say that, let me see here. I want to thank everyone from our guests and Subdeacon Ictarius, and I want to thank I want to thank Bishop Enoch for being here, and Father Boniface for being here, Reader John for being here, to our listeners and those who asked questions, who had comments, to everyone who contributed via super chats, and to those who support our mission. Support the channel. We at NFTU need your help. Support us by subscribing or donating at nftu.net, on GiveSendGo, or on Odyssey. We remember you and we remember all of you in our prayers, and thank you for the support for NFTU. As always, go ahead.
And also remember, Monday begins the Apostles' Fast.
That's right. Tomorrow begins the fast begins.
When no meat, no dairy, no cheese, no eggs until Feast of Saints Peter and Paul.
Okay, which on the secular calendar falls on July 12th. And so, and finally, as always, if you haven't already, don't forget to like and subscribe. God bless you, and have a good night, everyone.
All righty.